The first crack in the evening came with the sound of her chair sliding back from the table. We were mid-dinner, candles flickering between us, plates of roasted chicken and wine half finished. My wife, Claire, smiled at my sister across the table, murmured something about taking a call, and slipped her phone into her hand as she rose. It was casual, too casual. At first, I thought nothing of it. Work? Maybe. She'd been busy lately, distant but not hostile. I told myself to let her breathe. But then I caught my sister's eyes. She watched Claire leave the room with a strange tightness in her expression. Not curiosity, alarm. The kitchen door swung shut behind Claire. Silence pressed in. Then my sister leaned closer, her voice barely a whisper. "David," she said, "you need to hear this." The red flags hadn't been absent. I had simply chosen not to see them. The late nights at the office. The faint scent of cologne clinging to her hair when she crawled into bed. The way she laughed at her phone, then quickly locked it when I entered the room. I rationalized every single one. Love teaches you to forgive before you even have proof. It also teaches you to ignore the ache in your gut that says something's wrong. But as I sat there, the candlelight trembling against the glass of my wine, I knew this was the moment when excuses would shatter. My sister slid her phone across the table toward me. I didn't mean to listen, but I heard her when she stepped into the hall. I hesitated, staring at the device like it was a weapon. She said. My sister swallowed hard. She said, "I can't talk long, he's right here. I'll see you tomorrow night, just like before." The words hit like a punch to the chest. Tomorrow night. Just like before. I tried to breathe evenly, to keep my face still. My sister's eyes searched mine, waiting for me to react, but my body felt frozen. Claire re-entered moments later, her face lit with the soft smile she always wore when she wanted to seem composed. She slid back into her seat, lifted her wine glass, and asked lightly, "So, what were we talking about?" The world had shifted in the minutes she was gone. She didn't know I knew. She didn't know that a seed of truth had been planted in my heart, sprouting into something jagged and poisonous. Dinner carried on. At least, it looked like it did. Claire laughed, cut her chicken into perfect bites, and sipped her wine with practiced ease. To anyone else, she might have seemed radiant. But every word, every gesture was tinted now. I saw the curve of her lips and wondered if they still carried the taste of another man. I heard her laugh and wondered if it was the same sound she gave him. I watched her fingers toy with her glass stem and imagined them tangled in someone else's sheets. The betrayal wasn't fully visible yet. It was a shadow, a hint of something just out of sight, but it was enough to gut me. After dinner, my sister excused herself quietly, hugging me tighter than usual before she left. Her silence said more than her words could. That night, when Claire crawled into bed beside me, I pretended to be asleep. She lay there scrolling on her phone, her face aglow with a light that didn't belong to me. I kept my breathing steady, my body rigid, the weight of her nearness crushing me. I wanted to grab the phone, to demand the truth, but instead I lay there in the darkness, suffocating under the knowledge that my marriage was no longer ours. The following day, I made my choice. I didn't confront her immediately. Confrontation gives the betrayer power, the chance to lie, to twist, to deny. I wanted truth, undeniable and sharp. So I followed her. Her car pulled out of the driveway in the late afternoon, and I trailed her at a distance, my grip on the steering wheel so tight it hurt. She didn't go to the office. She didn't go shopping. She drove to a quiet cafe on the edge of town. I watched from across the street as she stepped out of her car, her face glowing in a way it hadn't in years, open, unguarded, almost girlish. And then I saw him. Tall, dark-haired, his smile wide as he kissed her cheek like it was a ritual. She laughed softly, touching his arm with a familiarity that made my chest cave in. The sight hollowed me. My heart didn't break loudly. It collapsed inward, quietly, like a house eaten away by termites, finally giving way. I didn't storm in. I didn't shout or cause a scene. Instead, I sat there, watching them sip coffee, her hand brushing his on the table as if the world belonged only to them. I thought of our wedding day, of her trembling hands when she slipped the ring on my finger. I thought of nights in the cabin, of whispered promises, of the way she once looked at me like I was her future. And I thought of the words my sister had repeated the night before, just like before. This wasn't new. This wasn't sudden. This had been living in the shadows of my marriage, growing while I fooled myself into believing we were unbreakable. When Claire finally returned home that evening, I was waiting. The house was dark except for a single lamp in the living room. She walked in, humming softly, and froze when she saw me. "David," she said carefully, "you're home early." I stared at her, at the woman I had given my life to, at the stranger who had carried another man's smile into our house. "I know," I said quietly. "About him. About everything." Her face paled. She opened her mouth, but no words came. "I wanted to believe in us," I continued, my voice breaking despite my effort to stay calm. "But you chose lies. You chose him. And now I choose me." For the first time, her composure cracked. Tears welled, her lips trembling as she whispered, "David, please." But I shook my head. "No more secrets. No more shadows. You ended us the moment you picked up that phone." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. I walked past her, the echo of her sobs chasing me down the hall, each one tearing at what little remained of the man who once believed love could conquer anything. But love hadn't saved us. Truth hadn't saved us. And as I stepped outside into the night, the air sharp against my skin, I realized I wasn't leaving with anger. I was leaving with absence, an emptiness so vast it swallowed everything in its path. And maybe that was the cruelest betrayal of all.